Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. Today's podcast, unfortunately, is going to have to start on a very, very sad note. You probably have all heard the Kansas City Chiefs obviously had their Super Bowl parade today in Kansas City. But there was a shooting. 21 wounded by gunfire, 1 dead at the end of the Chiefs Super Bowl parade yesterday afternoon. 3 people have been detained and are under investigation, according to Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves. This is just very sad. Shootings happen more often than you think. They're terrible, and unfortunately this will not be the last shooting that we see. But unfortunately, this celebration of what it was supposed to be is going to be remembered by this awful event that took place. The Chiefs came out with a statement. "We are truly saddened by the senseless act of violence that occurred outside of Union Station at the conclusion of today's parade and rally. Our hearts go out to the victims, their families, and all of Kansas City. We are in close communication with the mayor's office as well as the Kansas City Police Department. At this time, we have confirmed that all of our players, coaches, staff, and their families are safe and accounted for. We thank the local law enforcement officers and the first responders who were on scene to assist." This is just a shame. And thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families, the Chiefs, their fans, everyone in Kansas City. It's just really, really sad. And I'm just speechless. And things like this are not supposed to and absolutely should not happen at what should be a happy event in Kansas City like this at the parade. But like I said a few moments ago, it's not going to be remembered fondly. It's going to unfortunately be remembered for this. And it was an absolute shock when I found out about this. And all the news outlets are covering it, and rightfully so, whether it's SportsCenter or the national news. But this is just very, very sad. And KC Police tweeted out at 3:02 p.m. Eastern, "Shots have been fired around Union Station. Please leave the area." And that was retweeted by Adam Schefter about 6 minutes later. And then there's videos of police and military personnel going inside Union Station. And I've heard stories about some of the players checking in on the victims and making sure that they were okay. But like I said, this is truly sad, and it's unfortunate that I have to open today's show with this, but it's the biggest story, and not just in sports, but in America right now. And it's just super duper sad. And So, Gabrielle Giffords, a former congresswoman, she said, in Kansas City today, a celebration has turned into a nightmare again. Americans should not have to live in constant fear of gun violence, not a Super Bowl victory parade or anywhere else. As we mark 6 years since the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, another community has to face the trauma. My heart goes out to Kansas City. We're with you, and we will never stop fighting to end gun violence. So she came out and spoke, Giffords, and there's a lot of statements and such. But like I said, this is truly sad, and it's not something I wanted to start today's podcast with, but I had to, obviously. So let's get off some sad subjects and let's get focused back onto what we should be talking about that has nothing to do with a mass shooting, which is the rest of the news and notes for today. So obviously the shooting was the big story. Patrick Mahomes posted on social media after the shooting, as well as you would expect him and a lot of the other Kansas City players and players just not just around football but around sports as well. But here's a crazy story. There was a fight before the Pistons-Suns game as Isaiah Stewart punched Drew Eubanks in the back of tunnels of the Suns arena. Yikes. Isaiah Stewart's actually hurt right now. But that punch to Drew Eubanks is uncalled for. The Warriors want a star wing as they pursued LeBron as they reached out to the Lakers. Joe Lacob reached out to Jeannie Buss and LeBron's reps at the deadline. And then it was reported by The Athletic that the Warriors want a star wing as they're searching for the potential number 2 next to Steph and mid-LeBron buzz. And how crazy are the Sixers? And the Lakers, too, for that matter. The Sixers tried landing as stars. They made calls for LeBron, Durant, Booker, and Beal. Are you kidding me? You called for the big 3 on the Suns and LeBron? Like, Philly's just so desperate, and they have these dreams and visions of Embiid coming back and being better than ever for the playoffs. Well, Embiid has not made it past the second round yet, and has never been healthy in the postseason, and let's face it, hasn't had that wow moment in the postseason like LeBron, Kawhi, Jokic, Curry, Giannis, and all these big stars have. Even Luka's had some wow moments. And then, on the flip side, the Lakers asked for Joel Embiid as Rob Pelinka inquired about Joel after Daryl Morey's shot at LeBron, which is hilarious. And speaking of LeBron, he's focused on the Lakers as he's concentrating on the return to the Lakers this offseason. Not surprising. And the Knicks are not focused on LeBron as members of Knicks brass have not discussed the prospect of adding LeBron, which I think that has to be considered. I look at him as a potential missing piece for them to win the championship. It's him. It could be Paul George if the Clippers collapse. Kawhi signed that extension, so he's off the table. Giannis, unfortunately, he's off the table for right now. But maybe if the Bucks do continue to implode, maybe he is brought up again. I mean, if the Mavericks go the wrong way, maybe Luka. Embiid's injury took him out of the equation. So to me, and Booker's the other one that I think is somewhat realistic for New York if they want to get that megastar. If the Suns collapse and Durant looks old and Beal's always injured. I mean, it could in theory be Booker, but I think the most realistic star for the Knicks right now is Paul George. If that extension doesn't get done and they have a collapse in the playoffs and Harden melts down again. Kawhi gets hurt. I mean, I could see it being Paul George, and I think Paul George can be a number one on a title team. I really do. I'm that high on Paul George. And speaking of LeBron, again, the Lakers are open to adding Bronny as the team is willing to explore the notion of drafting LeBron's son. That would be something. Jaylen Brown did not play last night against the Nets because of a shoulder injury, and the Celtics still won by a lot. Bradley Beal avoids major injuries. Frank Vogel says that Beal's hamstring strain is not believed to be serious, so that's good. Kawhi Leonard, questionable for the All-Star game, is Ty Lue's unsure if he'll play this weekend. Doesn't think a adductor injury is serious. So, then they're going to have to name a replacement for Kawhi sooner rather than later if Kawhi doesn't play. The Clippers send 2 players home. Bones Highland and PJ Tucker will rejoin the team after the All-Star break. That's weird. And PJ Tucker will not get bought out either. The Magic retire Shaquille O'Neal's jersey, first player in franchise history to receive the honor. And rightfully so. He was one of their best players in franchise history. It's him and it's Dwight Howard. And they went with the OG and Shaq. Some football news. Stanford lands top prospect Rantaro Sasaki as he picks him over the MPB draft. So that's an interesting one. Here's some football stuff. Chris Jones says, I'm not leaving, as he squashes free agency rumors. So they'll probably tag him. I'm looking forward to doing the Chiefs off-season one because they have some interesting free agents. They will probably come up on, I'm thinking, next week. The 49ers fire Steve Wilks, as Kyle Shanahan says that Wilks ended up not being the right fit. So, someone has to take the blame for their Super Bowl loss and defensive lapses in the previous 2 rounds, and it happens to be Steve Wilks. Travis Kelce grabs a Jason Kelce cutout at the parade as Kelce chugs a beer with a shirtless picture of his brother. And Travis Kelce also says that the Reed bump was unacceptable as he acknowledges the Super Bowl outburst was over the top, and he says that on the New Heights podcast. He, you guys probably saw it by now, as he bumped Andy Reid and was hollering at him after Isaiah Pacheco fumbled. Big college basketball news. Ohio State fires Chris Holtmann. 4-10 record in Big Ten play this year. I have a future on them to win the title. That's obviously out the window now. Not great. A couple candidates for Ohio State's job is Xavier's Sean Miller and South Carolina's Lamont Paris. Lamont Paris makes a lot of sense. Lamont Paris has done a fabulous job at South Carolina this year. I know they lost by a lot last night, but Paris has to be the SEC Coach of the Year, if not the National Coach of the Year. He's done an outstanding job this year. South Carolina, to me, is this year's Kansas State. I mean, the Kansas State from last year. But I think last year's Kansas State is obviously better than this year's South Carolina. And Jerome Tang has to be mentioned for Ohio State, I think, too. And I wonder about South Florida's coach. South Florida's been awesome this year. But I don't know if South Florida's coach would make that jump. And Chris Holtmann had a $12.5 million buyout. Wow. So some college football stuff. SEC conference schedule update as the SEC schedule is likely moving to 9 games in 2026. That's according to Inside Texas. So, about time, SEC. Liam Hendriks says he has multiple offers as he sets Thursday as the deadline for signing as he's coming off Tommy John surgery. I think he'll help somebody. The Yankees and the Brewers swap pitchers as the Yanks get Clayton Andrews, a lefty, for righty Joshua Quezada. So that's a weird pitcher swap. Sad news in baseball, former Yankees and Reds pitcher Don Gullett passes away at the age of 73. That's sad news. Thoughts and prayers go to his family, friends, and ex-teammates in those organizations. And hockey news, Sean Couturier named the 20th captain in Philadelphia Flyers franchise history. So congrats to Couturier, really good player. Okay, we are family. So we'll talk about We Are Family. So we're doing the podcast backwards from how we usually do it because of yesterday's events. We had to start with Kansas City, obviously. So We Are Family was a fun episode last night. So the first contestant was a woman named Janine. She performed Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears. The 3 clues were a jester, a sink, and a broken heart. Anthony Anderson's mom guessed Jim Carrey. Other guesses were Howie Mandel, Michael Rappaport, and Lance Bass among the 100-person panel. And I came up with the guess of Joey Fatone. There's the jester. There was a sink, and then a broken heart. And I saw the person behind the sphere, and it looked like Joey Fatone from his body. So I'm like, it has to be Joey. And then Janine and her relative performed Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. Fun song by the 80s. Very underrated song. Nobody talks about that song. Good performance. And then a couple of the clues. Swimming and there's a person hanging. It was kind of like a robot kind of deal. Other guesses were Pete Davidson, Joey Fatone, and Justin Timberlake. And who was it? It was indeed Joey Fatone. I was right. And it turns out that Janine is the sister of Joey Fatone. Almost half of them got it correct, 49 out of 100. And they share $20,000 prize. And then comes Kayla. She talks about how game nights are competitive. And the person that she's related to is known for their talent. She performs Use Somebody by Kings of Leon. There's a king crown, 2 rings, and a jet. Mrs. Anderson's first guess was Angela Bassett. But we didn't see the reflection of the relative, so there's a lot of random guesses in here. Simone Biles, Hakeem Olajuwon. And then Kayla says it's uncharted territory for the relative. So that obviously is a giveaway of that they're not known for singing. And then Kayla and her relative perform Airplanes by B.O.B. and Hayley Williams. There's a basketball. And then the next clue was, it said Barkley, Johnson, O'Neal, and then a blank spot. That, to me, was an automatic giveaway of who Kayla's relative was. And I thought of TNT's own former Houston Rocket, and oh yeah, she mentioned she's from Houston, and the Jet himself, Kenny Smith. Other guesses were Dennis Rodman, Jamie Foxx, and LeBron James. And LeBron was actually my first impression guess. While they showed like the king crown and the 2 rings, that was my first thought was LeBron. But who was it? It was Kenny Smith of TNT. So that's kind of fun to have someone from TNT on there. I wouldn't have guessed Kenny Smith. That was funny. If you told me somebody from TNT was going to be on We're Family or The Masked Singer, I would have guessed either Charles Barkley or Shaq. I think Barkley would have been the most fun, though, to be honest, because I love Barkley. But I love Kenny Smith, too, and I love Shaq. And, of course, I love Ernie Johnson. And it turns out that Kayla is Kenny Smith's daughter. And 32 out of 100 got it correct. It was more people that got it right than I expected. Because Kenny Smith wasn't that popular. I mean, he was teammates with Elijah Wan. He was teammates even with Barkley for a little bit on the Rockets. But he really wasn't all that popular. I think he's more popular now than he was as a basketball player because he's on TNT. 20 players guessed both correct, and the star player who got both answers correct in the quickest times, Cohen. And in the final relative's name was JD. He performed Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. There is a vote pin. My first thought was politics. There's Tea and Biscuits, Tina Fey, John McCain, and then there's the giveaway for me seeing those 2 individuals' photos. And then there was like binoculars with the planet Earth. And as soon as I saw John McCain, I knew who this was. And my guess, without a doubt, former vice president nominee and former governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin. An audience panelist guessed Annie Poehler. Cohen guessed Sarah Palin, and it was indeed Sarah Palin. Yours truly, 3 for 3. For the first time ever, I get 3 correct on We Are Family. So that's pretty cool. So I got 2 right 2 weeks ago. Andy Grammer and Snooki. In the the episode from a couple weeks ago, so episode 4, so that was 3 weeks ago, I did not get any right. So I gotten 4 in a row right in 5 of the last 6. And the one I missed was Peter Frampton. And in the 3rd episode, I got Debbie Gibson correct. And the 2nd episode, I got 2 right. I got JoJo Siwa correct, and I got Cam Newton correct. And then the 1st episode, I did not get any correct. So, I've gotten 9 correct out of 18 celebrities. So that's pretty good. I'm 50% on We Are Family. So that's pretty cool. And next week should be a good episode too. Okay, now we'll move on to golf. We have a tournament to talk about. It's the Genesis Open. And it begins this morning at 10:20 a.m. Chase Johnson and Nicholas Hojard will kick it off. 10:32, we have Ben Griffin, Charlie Hoffman, B. Hostler. 10:44, Adam Schenk, Ben Ganon, Lucas Glover. 10:56, Sanjay Emiliano Grillo, and Russell Henley. 11:08, Taylor Hogue, Keegan Bradley, Harry English. 11:20, J.T. Potson, Corey Connors, Chris Kirk. 11:32, Seamus Power, Adam Swebson, and Danny McCarthy. 11:44, Cam Davis, Adam Hadwin, and Cam Young. 12:01, Sam Burns, Victor Hovland, Nate Taylor. 12:13, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Tom Kim. 12:25, Gary Woodland, Justin Thomas, and Tiger Woods. Let's go. I did not expect to see his name written down here. Christian Ziedenhout, Ludwig Aberg, and Nick Hardy are 12:37. 12:49, Grayson Murray and Nick Dunlap. 101, Will Zalatoris, Sam Ryder, Matt Kuchar. 113, J.J. Spawn, Luke List, and CAU. 125, Jason Tay, Brendan Todd, Tony Finau. 142, Hideki Matsuyama, Brian Harmon, and Lucas Hodges. 154, Saiwo Kim, Sub Straka, Adam Putnam. 206, Patrick Rogers, Mackenzie Hughes, Ricky Fowler. 218, Kurt Katayama, Taylor Moore, Eric Cole. 230, Xander Schauffele, Susie Thiglia, Tommy Fleetwood. 242, Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, Matt Fitzpatrick. 254, Wyndham Clark, Max Homa, Rory McIlroy. 306, Alex Smalley, Taylor Montgomery, and Adam Scott. So, loaded tournament. Can't wait. Spoiler alert, I'm not picking Tiger. He's the GOAT of this sport. And I do not think he'll win. I have a couple other names in mind, but there's someone that stuck out. I don't think I picked this player this year. I'm either going to lay a fifth or a tenth of a unit, depending on the number. 33-1 is the guy I like. Tenth of a unit, I'm going Tony Finau. I like Tony Finau. I think he's due to come through here. I do not see... Oh, he came in 20th, tied with 5 under. So he didn't do a bad job at this course last year. So I'm going to do a tenth of a unit, 33-1, Tony Finau to win this tournament. And then now we'll do soccer. Not a lot of soccer. We'll just go over everything from yesterday and look ahead to everything going on today. Sort of Champions League. Actually, it looks like there's more going on than I thought. Lazio over Bayern 1-0. PSG over Real Sociedad 2-0. Serie A, Bologna over Fiorentina 2-0. CONCACAF Champions Cup going on as we speak at the time of recording. But the result from 2 nights ago, Guadalajara beats Forge 2-1. Guadalajara advances 5-2 on aggregate. And then we have Tigres over Vancouver 3-0 as Tigres advances 4-1 on aggregate. America's up 1-0 on Real Esteli. Aggregates 2-2 right now as we speak. America should hold on here. And then tonight, what's going to be tonight when you're listening to this, but 8 o'clock, you have Toluca and Herediano. Toluca leads 2-1 on aggregate. So, we have Toluca minus 340. Herediano 7-1. The draws plus 430. Like over 3.5 goals at plus 126. And then 15, you have Monterrey and Comunicaciones. Monterrey leads 4-1 on aggregate. They're minus 460. Comunicaciones is plus 850. The draw is plus 490. I also like 3.5 goals there as well at plus 112. Right now, at the time of recording, Atlas and Unam is 0-0 at halftime. At the time of recording, why not give out a live bet here? I can get Unam at plus 240. That's crazy. I'm going to do it. Give out a live bet right now. Unam at plus 240. ELC, Huddersfield over Sunderland 1-0. Plymouth Coventry 2-2 draw. Preston over Borough 2-1. Stoke over QPR 1-0. And Ipswich over Millwall 4-0. And then we have Europa Conference League going on. And then we have Europa League as well. So we have the knockout round. So 12:45, you have Galatasaray and Sparta. Galatasaray's minus 155, Sparta's plus 420, the draw's plus 270. Galatasaray's red hot, can't bet against them. Going under 2.5 goals, though, plus 112. Shakhtar and Marseille. Shakhtar plus 220, Marseille plus 120, draw plus 230. Tough one, draw plus 230. Young Boys and Sporting. Sporting minus 115, Young Boys plus 280, draw plus 270. I'm going Sporting, they're red hot, minus 115. Feyenoord AS Roma. Feyenoord plus 105, Roma plus 250, draw plus 220. I'm going Feyenoord plus 105. Lens Freiburg at 3. Lens minus 40, Freiburg plus 360, draw plus 270. I'm going over 2.5 goals minus 108. Milan Rennes. Milan minus 160, Rennes plus 410, draw plus 280. I'm going to go with the draw plus 280. Both teams are playing well right now. Braga and Karabag. Braga minus 290, Karabag plus 650. The draw is 4-1. I'm going under 2.5 goals plus 118. And then Benfica and Toulouse. Benfica minus 320, Toulouse is 8-1. The draw is 4-1. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals at plus 120. And then we have Conference League as well. 12:45, Union SG and Eintracht Frankfurt. Union SG is plus 115, Eintracht plus 230, draw plus 230. I'm going Union SG at plus 115. Sturm Graz and Slovan Bratislava. Sturm Graz is minus 120, Slovan plus 330, draw plus 250. I like over 2.5 goals minus 113. Molde and Liga Warsaw. Molde plus 115, Liga plus 220, draw plus 240. I'm going with Molde plus 115. Olympiacos and Ferencváros. Olympiacos minus 110. Ferencváros is plus 310, draw plus 230. I'm going with Olympiacos minus 110. 3 o'clock, Servette and Ludogorets. Servette plus 125, Ludogorets plus 210, draw plus 220. Going Servette plus 125. Betis and Dynamo Zagreb. Betis minus 160, Dynamo plus 460, draw plus 280. Over 2.5 goals minus 107. Ajax and Bodo Glimt. Ajax minus 185, Bodo plus 440, draw plus 350. Over 3.5 goals plus 118. And last but not least, Maccabi Haifa and Gent. Haifa plus 140, Gent plus 180, draw plus 240. I'm going to go with bold and pick the draw here at plus 240. I do not expect any other league to have games until Friday, which looks to be true. So, oh, wait a second. It wasn't, Scottish Premiership? Yes. We did have Scottish Premiership yesterday. Aberdeen, Motherwell 3-3 draw, and Rangers over Ross County 3-1. So Premiership doesn't play until Saturday. So there you have it for the soccer. Okay, now we'll recap the college basketball from last night and look ahead to tonight's large window. Army over BU 65-50, UNC Asheville over Presbyterian 71-69, Michigan State over Penn State 80-72, Youngstown State over Robert Morris 87-77, Notre Dame over Georgia Tech 58-55, Clemson over Miami 77-60, South Florida over Tulsa 69-50, SC Upstate over High Point 86-81 in OT, Gardner Webb over Charleston Southern 85-77, Eastern Kentucky over Chicago State 86-73, Seton Hall over Xavier 88-70, Colgate over Holy Cross 85-55, American over Navy 59-42, UMass over Richmond 69-59, St. Bonaventure over Fordham 85-67, Loyola Maryland over Lafayette 79-64, Furman over VMI 75-70 or 62, Wofford over Mercer 73-60, UNC Greensboro over the Citadel 76-61, Chattanooga over East Tennessee State 84-71, Northern Kentucky over Green Bay 58-57, Detroit over IPUI 81-66, Milwaukee over Cleveland State 71-68, Oakland over Purdue Fort Wayne 71-63, North Florida over Queens 93-79, Kennesaw State over Jacksonville 66-61, Belmont over Southern Illinois 82-68, Northern Iowa over Valpo 86-67, Murray State over Missouri State 82-72, Bradley over UIC 85-73, Loyola Chicago over St. Joe's 64-59, number 13 Auburn over number 11 South Carolina 101-61, Maryland over Iowa 78-66, number 1 UConn over DePaul 101-65, number 8 Tennessee over Arkansas 92-63, Arizona State over Oregon State 79-61, Stanford over Western Carolina 88-62, Utah State over Wyoming 84-76, and UNLV over Fresno State 67-65. All right. Tonight's large window, 6 o'clock, UMBC, Binghamton. My line's Binghamton, 7.3, total 151 and 13/20. And it is 4.5 and 155.5. Under. 600 Hampton, Stony Brook. My line, Stony Brook 13, total 147.25, and it's 11.5 and 145.5. Slight over. Big 10 hour Northwestern, Rutgers minus Northwestern by 3/4, total 138 and 3/10. And Rutgers is actually favored by 3.5, total is 131.5. I like the over. Marshall, App State. My line's App State 11.3, total for 8.5. It's 10.5 and 147.5. Slight over. 7 o'clock, ESPN2, Temple at number 24, FAU. My line's FAU 17.5, total 150 and 3/10. And we have 19.5 and 147.5. Over. SMU Tulane. My line is SMU by a 10th, total 52 and 4/5. And it's 3.5 and 158.5 under. Wichita State, East Carolina. My line's East Carolina 7.3, total 141 and 17/20. That's 1.5 and 137.5. I'm going to lay with East Carolina. Wichita State's been terrible in conference play this year. UTSA Charlotte, my line's Charlotte 11.9, total 148 and 7/10. And it's 12.5 and 145.5 over. Towson, William and Mary, my line is Towson 5.8, total 138 and 2/5. And it's 7.5 and 130.5 over. 7 o'clock, ESPN 2, Temple at number 24, FAU. My line's FAU 17.5, total 150 and 3/10. And it's 3.5 and 158.5 under. Wichita State, East Carolina. My line's East Carolina 7.3, total 141 and 17/20. And it's 12.5 and 145.5 over. Towson, William and Mary, my line is Towson 5.8, total 138 and 2/5. And it's 7.5 and 130.5 over.
NCAT and UNC Wilmington. My line is Wilmington 15.1, total 147 and 3/20. And it is 21.5 and 142.5. I'm going to take NCAT to cover. Hofstra Drexel, my line's Drexel 3.7, total 139 and 13/20. And it's 3.5 and 133.5. Over. Delaware Elon, my line's Elon. That's a 4-point dog, total 142 and 7/10. And we got 6.5 and 147.5. Under. Charleston Northeastern, my line is Charleston 6.3, total 149 and 2/5. And it's 4.5 and 154.5. Under. Campbell Monmouth, my line is Monmouth 2.3, total 140 and 4/5. And it is 5.5 and 140.5. I'm going to take Campbell to cover. Central Connecticut and Lemoyne, my line is Central Con 4.8, total 42 and 11/20. And it's 2.5 and 143.5. Should have laid a 2.5 on the road with Central Con. Fairleigh Dickinson LIU, my line's Fairleigh Dickinson 1.8, total 148 and 1/20. And it's 3.5 and 153.5. Under. Merrimack Stonehill, my line is Merrimack 8.1, total 136 and 3/5. And it's 9.5 and 130.5. I like the over. Wagner St. Fran, PA. My line is Wagner 1.7, total 131 and 9/20. And it's 3.5 and 126.5. I like the over. Louisiana Old Dominion, my line is Louisiana 5.7, total 148.5. And it's 4.5 and 148.5. Slightly in Louisiana. Georgia Southern Coastal Carolina, my line's Coastal 3.3, total 151 and 9/10. And it's 1.5 and 152.5. Slightly in the Coastal Carolina, minus the points. New Hampshire, Vermont. My line is Vermont 9.3, total 142 and 1/10. And it's 8.5 and 138.5. Over. Maine, Bryant. My line is Bryant by 10, total 142 and 1/20. And it's 5.5 and 142.5. I'm going to lay the points with Bryant. NJIT in Albany, mine's Albany 5.4, total 148.5. And it's Albany by 7.5, total 153.5. Under. Jacksonville State, Louisiana Tech. My line's Tech by 9, total 135 and 1/10. And it's 10.5 and 129.5. Over. UTEP Western Kentucky on CBS Sports Network. My line's Western 7.25, total 144 and 11/20. And it's 6.5 and 153.5. Under. All right, 7:30, Abilene Christian, Texas Rio Grande. My line's Ab Christian 3/10, total 148 and 19/20. And it is 2.5 and 149.5. Slightly in Texas Rio Grande Valley. Really, it's not a slight lead. FIU against Sam Houston. My line Sam Houston 7.1, total 145 and 9/10, and it's 5.5 and 146.5. Slightly in Sam Houston. Mexico State and Middle Tennessee. My line is Middle 3.6, total 136 and 7/20, and it's 2.5 and 131.5. Over. 8 o'clock, Memphis, North Texas. My line is Memphis 1.6, total 141 and 13/20. And it's North Texas 1.5, total 135.5 over. ESPNU, Winthrop, Bradford. My line is Bradford 1.1, total 145 and 9/20. And it's Winthrop 1.5, total 140.5 over. Moorhead State against Little Rock. My line is Moorhead by 4, total 145 and 3/20. And it's 3.5 and 142.5 over. Texas State, South Alabama. My line is South Alabama 4.5, total 142 and 2/5. And it is 2.5 and 137.5 over. Georgia State, James Madison. My line's James Madison 13 and 3/4, 752 and 1/20, and it is 13.5 and 153.5. Oh, that's so close. Slight under. South Dakota, Omaha. My line's Omaha 5 and 3/4, 751 and 1/5. And it's 8.5 and 151.5. I'm going to take South Dakota on the points. South Dakota State and UMKC. My line is South Dakota State 4.4, total 146 and 1/5. And we have 2.5 and 142.5 over. North Dakota State and Oral Roberts. My line is Oral Roberts 2.9, total 152 and 1/10. And it's 4.5 and 147.5. I like the over. Tarleton State and Texas Arlington. My line is Tarleton 1.9, total 142 and 19/20. And it's ET Arlington 9.5, total 141.5. Give a Tarleton plus the points and plus 158 to win straight up. $8:30 on the Big Ten Network. Minnesota number 2 Purdue. Mine's Purdue 13 3/4, 149 and 13/20. And 16.5 and 146.5. Over. Next, Western Illinois, Tennessee Tech. My line is Western 1.8, total 135 and 19/20. And it's 3.5 and 126.5 over. Southern Indiana and Tennessee Martin. My line is Tennessee Martin 12.7, total 48 and 1/5. And it's 8.5 and 154.5 under. Lindenwood and SIU Edwardsville. My line is Edwardsville 11.7, total 137. And it's 9.5 and 131.5 over. Southeast Missouri State and Eastern Illinois. My line is Eastern 3.8, total 137 and 11/20. And it's 5.5 and 133.5 over. UM Monroe, Southern Miss. Southern Miss 9.5, total 42 and 19/20. And it's 7.5 and 139.5 over. Arkansas State, Troy. My line is Troy by 10, total 153.5, and it is 6.5 and 156.5. Ooh, I like Troy minus the points. Austin P and Central Arkansas. My line is Austin P 1.6, total 145 and 7/20. And it's 2.5 and 142.5 over. Seattle, Southern Utah. My line is Seattle 4.4, total 146 and 3/5. And it's 3.5 and 147.5. Slight under. Lipscomb, North Alabama at 8:45. My line is Lipscomb 1.1, total 154 and 3/4. And it's 2.5 and 156.5. Slight under. 9 o'clock on ESPN2, Stanford, Washington. My line's Washington 1.6, total 156 and a 20th. And it's 4.5 and 159.5. It's a little bit of a hard one, but I'm going to take the under. Colorado, UCLA on ESPN. My line's UCLA 2.5, total 141 and 3/4. And it's Colorado 1.5, total 137.5. So 4-point edge on UCLA. Over 4-point edge on the over, so the over. Gonzaga, LMU on CBS Sports Network. My line's Gonzaga 5.7, total 147 and 3/20. And it's 14.5 and 150.5. I'm taking Merriman plus the points. North Dakota, Denver. My line is Denver by a fifth, total 57 and 3/10. And it's 3.5 and 158.5. I'm going to take North Dakota in the points. Utah Tech against Grand Canyon. My line is Grand Canyon 17.2, total 46.5. And it's 18.5 and 148.5. Under. Long Beach State and UC Davis. My line is UC Davis 3.7, total 46 and 7/20. And it's 3.5 and 151.5. Under. Northern Arizona and Sac State. My line is Sac State by a tenth, total 38 and 3/10. And it's 3.5 and 131.5 over. Weber State, Idaho. My line is Weber's 6.3, total 40 and 1/4. And it's 7.5 and 138.5. Slide over. Idaho State and Eastern Washington. My line's Eastern by 10, total 45 and 3/4. And it's 9.5 and 143.5 over. Cal Wazoo Pac-12 Network at 10 o'clock. My line is Wazoo 8.3, 246 and 11/20. And it's 9.5 and 139.5 over. Pacific Santa Clara. My line is Santa Clara 13.1, total 146. And it's 16.5 and 148.5. I'm going to take Pacific in the points. Portland, San Diego. My line is San Diego 6.3, total 151 and 3/20. And it's 6.5 and 156.5. Under. Utah Valley, Cal Baptist. My line is Cal Baptist 6.1, total 136 and 3/20. And we have 3.5 and 133.5. That's a hard one too. So I'm gonna go with the over. Hawaii, Cal Poly. My line's Hawaii 8.7, so 38 and 11/20. And it's 8.5 and 131.5 over. Northridge, Bakersfield. My line is Northridge 3/4, so 142 and 19/20. And it's 1.5 and 143.5. That is so close. I'm going to do slight lean Bakersfield. Now take the money line at minus 105 as well. UCSB, UCSD. My line's UCSD 4.4, total 145 and a 20th. It's 5.5 and 143.5. Slide over. Riverside, Fullerton. My line is Fullerton 4.1, total 36 and 7/20. And it's 1.5 and 131.5 over. Northern Colorado and Portland State. My line is Portland State by 2, 251 and a 10th. And it's Northern Colorado 2.5, total 153.5. Give me Portland State plus the points at plus 114 outright. 11 o'clock CBS Sports Network. Pepperdine at number 18 St. Mary's. Mine's 8 St. Mary's. 14.8 total. 139 in the 20th. And it's 18.5 and 132.5. I'm going to take the over. And last but not least, 11 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, Utah, USC. My line's Utah 7-10, total 51 and the 20th. And it's USC 1.5, total 148.5. I like the over in that game. Okay, now move on to the NBA. We will go over the results from last night and look ahead to a small window today. Today's the last day of games before the All-Star break. Hornets over the Hawks, 122-99. Magic over Knicks, 118-100. Heat over the Sixers, 109-104. Celtics over the Nets, 136-86. Cavs over the Bulls, 108-105. Pacers over the Raptors, 127-125. Grizz over the Rockets, 121-113. Pelicans over the Wiz, 133-126. Mavs over the Spurs, 116-93. Kings over the Nuggets, 102-98. Suns over the Pistons, 116-100. Lakers over the Jazz, 138-122. Clippers over the Warriors, 130-125. All right, 8:30 on TNT tonight, Bucks Grizzlies. Why is that on TNT? I don't know. My line's Bucks 8.5 and 3/5. And it is 11 and 223.5. I like the over. 9 o'clock, Warriors Jazz. That's the makeup game from January 17th when the Warriors assistant coach passed away. My line is the Jazz 3.25, so it's a 37 and 3/5, and it's Warriors 1.5, so it's a 37.5. Warriors are favored because they're playing well right now, but they're on the second of a back-to-back. I'm going to take the Jazz plus the points and even money outright. And last but not least, 10 o'clock, T-Wolves Blazers. My line is the T-Wolves 11 and 3/4, so 222 and 7/10. And it's 8.5 and 214.5. That's a low total, and I like the over. And now the NHL. We'll recap the games from yesterday and head to a busy week tonight. Panthers over the Penguins 5-2, so best bet wins. Jets over the Sharks 1-0. Wild over the Coyotes 3-1. All right, 7 o'clock, Canadiens Rangers. Rangers going for 6 straight. They should win by all accounts. They're minus 275. The Habs are plus 220 over under 6.5. Overs plus 1.8. Under is minus 132. Habs plus 1.5 is minus 114. Rangers minus 1.5 is minus 105. I am going to go be a homer and lay the 1.5 with the Rangers. Because they're just playing better than the Canadiens right now. Kraken Bruins. Bruins minus 92. Kraken plus 158. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Kraken plus 1.5 is minus 164. Bruins minus 1.5 is plus 136. I like the over. Panthers Sabres. Panthers minus 136. Sabres plus 130. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 8. Unders minus 112. Panthers minus 1.5 is plus 155. Sabres plus 1.5 is minus 188. I like the over. Flyers Leafs. Leafs minus 162. Flyers plus 134. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. Flyers plus 1.5 is minus 178. Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 146. I like the over at even money. Ducks Sens. Sens minus 196. Ducks plus 162. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 134. Unders plus 110. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 144. Sens minus 1.5 is plus 120. I am going to go with, that's a hard one, but the under at plus money. Avs Lightning. Lightning minus 114, Avs minus 105, over under 6.5. Overs minus 134, unders plus 110. Avs plus 1.5 is minus 48, Bolts minus 1.5 is plus 195. So here we have a matchup of a couple of the previous Stanley Cup champions. I'm going to go with the more recent one, the Avalanche at minus 105. Kings, Devils from Peru. The Devils are now 2 back of the playoffs. Devils -120, Kings even money over under 6.5. Overs -114, unders -106. Kings +1.5 is -235. Devils -1.5 is +195. I like the under. 8 o'clock, Oilers, Blues. Oilers -188, Blues +155, over under 6.5, -110 each way. Oilers -1.5 is +128, Blues +1.5 is -154. I like the over. Although Blues outright's pretty tempting. ESPN Plus and Hulu, Stars, Preds. Stars -138, Preds +115, over under 6.5, overs -122. Or that's the under, and the overs even money. Stars -1.5 is +172, Preds +1.5 is -210. I'm going to go with the Preds outright at home, +115. That's weird that that line's that low. 8:30, Pens, Blackhawks. Pens -245, Blackhawks +184, over under 5.5. Overs -130, unders +106. Pens -1.5 is +114, Blackhawks +1.5 is -137. This is a hard one. But I'm going to go flat line goals, over 6 even money. 9 o'clock, Sharks, Flames. Flames -350, Sharks +275, over under 5.5. Overs -128, unders +104. Sharks +1.5 is +108. Flames -1.5 is -130. I'm going to do the same thing, over 6 +102. And then 10 o'clock, Red Wings, Canucks. Canucks -182, Red Wings +150, over under 6.5. Overs -122, unders even money. Red Wings +1.5 is -154. Canucks -1.5 is +128. Vancouver has been kicking everybody's butts, so I'm going to lay to 1.5 with Vancouver against the Red Wings. And last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There's a couple that stood out to me today as we were doing the games. But there was a college basketball total that I thought was low in the Pac-12. And I was appalled that it was that low. It's a game that's going on a little bit later. It's the over in Cal Wazoo. 139.5 is the number. And my total projection for this game is 146 and 11/20. So this game, I think, is going to be into the 140s. So I like the over in this spot, and I am going to lay a nice unit on it. I'm going to lay a fifth of a unit on it. So over 139.5 between Cal and Wazoo, and -115 for my best bet of the day. So that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything and looking at everything for the weekend, including all the NBA All-Star festivities. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody, and keep an eye out for the NFL offseason stuff as well.